This episode is for Friday, May 1st, 2015. Welcome, Meteor fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my special guest co-host,
Dean Radcliffe, a.k.a. Chicago Grooves.
Welcome back, Dean. Thanks for being here. It's awesome to have you fill in for Rye. He had some family stuff going on today, so you filled in at the last minute. That's always awesome.
Cool. No problem.
All right. So this week, we actually have 6 stories. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We're going to talk about AMAs on Crater, desktop apps, Rethink DB, Package Kitchen, reprised, Heroku and Meteor Toys. All right. So first up this week is, I don't know, maybe this isn't a deep conversation, but I decided that on Crater, I want to have maybe different content than what is on Meteor forums. And one of the ways I felt things could be differentiated was having AMAs on there. And so when I was out, gosh, this has been something I've been thinking about for a while. When I was in San Francisco in February, I asked Sashko if he would do the first AMA, and he said, sure. And so I came back and was busy doing client work and writing blog posts and that kind of thing, and didn't think much of it. And then it just occurred to me, if I don't do anything, then it'll never happen. So I got the first one up. Sashko is going to start answering questions May 5th, I believe. Yeah. So get in there, go to the show notes, click the link, leave some comments, upvote and downvote the ones that are already there. And he's going to start going through and answering all the top questions. So I think it's a good time to get in there and start asking questions. And, I don't know, he only works on one part of Meteor, but, or I guess he's only one guy at Meteor. So he might not be able to answer all the questions. I know there's all these deep, what direction is Meteor going question. I don't know how well he can answer some of those, but if you've got other questions, I would definitely throw them out there.
And what's the format of that? Is that a live chat?
Yeah, you just queue up the questions in the thread, and then he's going to show up probably, sometime in the afternoon, and he'll start answering them live. We'll say something on Twitter, and I'll probably nail down an actual time that he's going to start answering questions, and I'll edit the topic, and it'll have the time in there as well. So, yeah. So it'll just be nice because he'll start answering those, and then everyone will get emails as long as you have the notifications turned on, and then hopefully conversations will flow, and we'll get some nice long comment arms going and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good. Is Sashko, particularly, is he just the most willing Meteor developer guy to do this?
He's certainly the most outspoken, right? I think we've got another story from Slava. So Sashko and Slava seem like the guys that publicly put their stuff out there the most.
Yeah.
So, kudos to them. I love it.
Good. I'll have to make sure I ask him about a certain pull request I sent him.
Nice. Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, I know he did a lot of work on the Windows stuff. There's probably, new questions on that. And I saw some of the questions in the thread already. And it can only be a good thing to get this stuff discussed.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So next up is the desktop app story. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, if I was gonna make an application, line of business application, a lot of the Windows devs are into kind of making line of business apps that will run on your desktop. And even the editor I use, Atom, is pretty much a hybrid, web-based technologies, but running as a native desktop application. So what this is about, let's see, where's that again? Electron is the name of the project here. That this, in the same way that the Cordova integration helped speed the process of taking your web technology site and deploying it in a native container. Electron is doing the same for creating a desktop app. Do I have that about right?
Yeah, sounds about right. I think maybe the chief difference is Electron, as far as I can tell, doesn't really give you a bunch of native API access, does it?
I didn't see that it did. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know how it overlaps with, is it Node WebKit, the kind of core technology that Atom is based around. And a couple of my coworkers have made games recently in that stack, and I'm not sure that this does. I don't know if it provides native access.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of like looking over the docs here. I didn't realize this was from the Atom organization itself. It's kind of
Oh,
awesome.
oh, cool.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Like Atom and Electron.
Ah, yep.
See what
How
they
long till we get Nucleus?
Do you watch Silicon Valley?
No, no.
No. Oh, you totally made a reference there.
Okay.
You watched it. That's funny. All right. Yeah, I don't know. This is pretty awesome. Yeah, it looks. I mean, it looks like really it's just a browser wrapper, but yeah, it'll totally get it there on the machine. I'm curious. Someone should like compare Electron with like MacGap, right? So my understanding is MacGap. They're using MacGap for the Slack app, the native Slack app that you can install on your machine. So I wonder if that one maybe gives you more API access. But I mean, browsers have desktop notifications and stuff too, so you could probably hook into that pretty easily.
Yeah, the number of technologies that are implemented in the browser, even the accelerometer. If you wanted to access the desktop machine's accelerometer, you can do that straight from JavaScript, with or without the native APIs. That's been the trend, is more and more functionality allowed directly through JavaScript. So I haven't. I don't do the client stuff that you do. Certainly at my current company, nobody's asked me to build a desktop app in a while. But I would keep this in mind if I was going to build one.
Yeah, I wonder now. I wonder if we could do a Crater app. That would be fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Maybe get some desktop notifications going on with that thing whenever a new story pops.
Yeah, and like this kind of reminds me too of Ruby Cocoa. They were like, "Hey, do you write Ruby all day? Here's our way to let you write desktop apps with the language and to ecosystem you love."
Yeah, awesome. All right, so next story is on RethinkDB. So I think if you look up RethinkDB, their slogan, here you go. The open source database for the real-time web.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely geared towards like pushing out real-time data, and seems like had this been out a long time ago, maybe it would have been the first choice for Meteor, but that wasn't the case. But I love seeing the impetus for this conversation is the fact that Slava took his hack week and worked on RethinkDB support. And so he put out a video at the end of the week that showed him getting kind of the server side stuff going. So he's got publications working and you can subscribe and data's flowing across. It's an interesting video to watch. Did you watch the video by chance?
I've not. It's only 5 minutes, and I love videos under 10 minutes for how easily absorbed they are. But no, I haven't watched this one. I have looked at RethinkDB over time, and I think one of the things that let Meteor kind of springboard as far as it did in a short amount of time was using a instead of like concatenating SQL strings, there's query objects. Like the idea of the kinds of queries you do is very easy for a developer to build up these objects. And RethinkDB also aligns philosophically really well with that.
Yeah.
But it also has a lot of different takes than Mongo on consistency. And so like my ops friends who are still wary about supporting MongoDB. And I know that's been covered, and whether that's a valid perception or not, it's a perception that you have to deal with. But they have said, why not rethink DB? Why not just start with that? So, the people that I talk to are intrigued by Rethink DB.
Yeah, it definitely intrigues me, right? Like I don't really know its scaling story very well, but I've got to imagine in this day and age, like they're doing a pretty good job with it. I find most people are getting clusters right nowadays. So I haven't seen any kind of data on it, but they've got aggregations, they've got MapReduce, indexing. Looks like they even have something similar to what do you call this? The storage, GridFS. Looks like they've got like multimedia storage, or you can store time series data. There's a lot of interesting things here, and I don't know. Like I'm excited to see this. I love that Slava's working on it, and it would be awesome if we find out like a month from now that this is going to ship into core or something, and it took them 5 weeks to get it done. Maybe, I don't know. That would be awesome.
Well, yeah. Now, what about that database company that Meteor bought a while back? I haven't heard much news about that.
Fathom.
Fathom. That's what it was.
So I really think that was an acquire hire, personally. Okay. Justin, if you look at the guy that had founded that, that's joined the Meteor team, he's working on Galaxy. So, he's doing the Docker and the Kubernetes stuff and all that kind of thing. You know what I'm curious about, and I want to find out. I watched this video, and Slava had this really nice output when he did a Meteor subscribe. It was like putting data into his console, but it was like in this formatted table that looked really awesome. I want to know how he did that. Like, is that some package he's using or something? It was pretty. Pretty.
Sounds like some kind of Meteor toy that we don't have.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else did we say we were going to talk about? Oh, package kitchen, right?
The package kitchen. I now have a couple of allies with me who are crazy enough to keep trying to use packages as the solution to everything. Disclaimer: they're not the solution to everything, but there's a lot that I've been getting out of playing with what can you package and how. And so one of the changes to Package Kitchen, it previously let you download a zip file of the scaffolded out package. It now is installable as a package that you can install Package Kitchen into your application, and then that gives you a route where if you go there and do the same thing that the public packagekitchen.meteor.com site does, but if you do that, if you go to that route in your app, and you can save the scaffolded out package directly to your app.
That's interesting.
And I was thinking about, the inspiration for that probably came from how each velocity test framework package has a method as part of the base class that you literally base class with bunny ears that you base your velocity testing package on. You can expose some sample files, right? And so if velocity sees you don't have any files, here, write these files to your application. And so it's the beginning of Meteor's so reactive, and you can do a little more development inside your web application, right? Velocity means you're not switching to a command line looking for green or red text. It's right there in your app. And so I wonder how many other tools will converge to be accessible directly in the browser, while you're developing your app.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of interesting, right? Like I mean, that idea is very interesting to me. I think the downside here too is it might be more awesome if you could integrate directly with the command line tool too, right? And that makes me a little sad because it's not very easy to do right now.
Oh, the Meteor create command.
Yeah, like Meteor, package kitchen or Meteor create package or something like that, right? And then you could take options and spit files out as well. I don't know. Maybe this is better. Who knows?
Yeah, I hear you, and I did get some feedback where people were comparing it to two things. Number one, Meteor create double dash package,
Mm-hmm.
which will it doesn't prompt you for your input, like whether you want to use this framework or that framework. It doesn't really kickstart you with a Travis.yaml that is all set up and ready to go, so that if you do decide to check this into its own repo, that you'll get tests running automatically. So some of that stuff is what I was hoping to help people with, above and beyond just a standard boilerplate of package JS.
Yeah, I mean, that's all very valid points, right? Like, we want to encourage testing as much as we can in our community, and that's a great idea.
Yeah. Command line stuff for testing packages. Do you have an answer to that? I've been in a discussion on the forums about how to do that.
For testing packages from the command line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just issue the one command, right? It's like Meteor test dash packages, and then you tell it, I think, what package you want to test, and it'll fire up a separate version of Meteor, like a reactive test version of Meteor that's running those tests. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. There's that tool, and then that one lets you see the results in a browser, and then there's been some other development for example, your Travis CI, it uses a Phantom JS way of capturing those results. So
yeah, Aeronoda wrote some scripts that I think are probably the most popular thing to use for testing in Travis.
Yeah.
Which just fires up Phantom, fires up the Meteor test packages, and then connects and just makes sure there's no errors there. I think there's also now there's Starry Night, so I'm guessing maybe Starry Night's going to have a way to do that. I don't know if it does already.
I believe there was some additions made in the last few days there.
Nice. And then there's also Space Jam as well, which will fire your tests off. And I believe it lets you use more different testing frameworks than just
Tiny Test.
Yeah. Or, obviously Mike's got Mocha working as well too. He does M unit tests. So I don't know if there's any.
Yeah. So all those are part of the options. Yeah.
So, it just, again, it makes me sad that the way that we have to hook into the command line is by releasing our own NPM package rather than being able to hook into the Meteor command line tool.
Yeah.
So hopefully
something to ask Sashko about in the AMA, right?
There we go. That'll be my question. When can we get command line support? All right, Heroku and Meteor. This one hit me out of nowhere. I actually had someone email me. They're like, "Oh my God!" exclamation point. And I clicked on the link, and sure enough, there is experimental Heroku Lab support for session affinity, and they're doing their session affinity via cookies. And so their router will drop a cookie onto the session, and then every time it's coming back through with another request, it will look at that cookie and route it to the right spot, right? And so that means that you're gonna connect back to the same Meteor app instance that you were connected to before, and that's important for the statefulness of your connection.
Okay, so this was the key thing that Heroku had to offer to make it practical to work with Meteor.
Correct. Yes.
All right.
So, great announcement, right? We're so pleased up here, and then you kind of go there and you look, and they've changed, or they're getting ready to change their entire pricing tier model, and you won't be able to run your first dyno free for a whole month. You can only run it free for half a month.
Okay.
So effectively, if you're going into production, you're going to have to pay them money, which I think means like, it's on par with Modulus, I think. So I don't know. Seems like one of those things they could have edged Modulus on a little bit, but now they're going to kind of be the same. So really, you got to look at other factors when you're comparing the two now. You got to look at like support and, you've got the fact that Modulus can auto scale and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think Modulus still has a pretty big edge here for Meteor hosting myself.
Well, they've been doing it the longest, and certainly a larger. Is it true that that a Modulus doesn't only do Meteor hosting? Is that right?
No, they started as a node host.
It's a node, okay.
Yeah, and so I think the last time I heard something, it was somewhere around 15% of their install or like app base was Meteor. So I mean, it's pretty sizable considering, but it's certainly not the biggest thing they host.
Not the biggest thing, but they're probably 15% is probably a lot larger than the share of Heroku. That's certainly as far as being on Meteor. Heroku I discovered during the Rails days, so I imagine that's what a lot of their clientele is.
Yeah,
and they're a big enough company that they can probably coexist with a couple of different technologies. So it's a question of if you're familiar with Heroku, this is good news for you that you can use your familiar environment and still play with Meteor there. But if you're if you're into kind of the most meteoric host, it'll take some time for them to prove whether they are or not.
Yeah, I said maybe they're not like the best option, but it just occurred to me with the build pack. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they're building a site that relies on FFmpeg to encode audio files, and they were talking about maybe using DigitalOcean, and we started talking about Heroku, and someone's like, "Oh, hey, you can do a custom build pack on Heroku," and I'm like, "That's totally right. Like Meteor support itself is a custom build pack," and so what that means is like every time you do a git push, it runs your build pack, which is essentially just a fancy set of bash scripts that it runs and installs what you need installed. And so you could totally go fork. I think the current working one is the horse build pack because they said, why not horse? All the other ones were named Meteor, so had to stand out somehow. But you could fork that and like add the FFmpeg build into the process and get a compiled version there that you can then shell out to and run your FFmpeg commands and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know that you could do that as easily with Modulus. So maybe there is a little upside there to Heroku.
Yeah, you definitely need supporting utilities, and you're going to get them through a build pack, or that sounds like the kind of thing that a team might use a Docker file for. Am I right? Like to install something to the OS as part of the dependencies?
Yeah, you could, but obviously not on Heroku or Modulus, right? If you were on DigitalOcean or something, you could do Docker.
Yeah. There's a lot of DevOpsy. The landscape is pretty broad right now. I'm still trying to figure out what the heck a Kubernetes is as well.
Yeah, I don't know. We should have someone on here to talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing I just wanted to mention, like kudos to Max Savin. He actually will be on the Meteor Club podcast that will come out this Wednesday. We interviewed him on Wednesday, and we actually had another episode in front of his, but we're going to jockey them around and get it out this Wednesday, so it's a little fresher. But he talks about Meteor Toys, what it is, how it came about, and all that kind of stuff. But he just launched paid versions of the Meteor Toys, and I think they're pretty amazing. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen Jet Setter and Mongol, but basically the pro versions take it a little further, a little extra features in those two packages, and then you can also get what he's calling the 7 orbs, and they're just like these little circles that like dot the top of your screen, and they do different things, and so you can actually watch the the data flowing back and forth if you turn it on. That's one of them. You can impersonate people. There's just all kinds of like great little tools in there that I think most people eventually go and build on their own. So it's it's kind of nice that they're out there. I'm curious. He also built a pretty awesome looking website. It's got like a guy standing next to a meteor flag, like an astronaut, and as your mouse moves, he kind of watches it when it's in the top half of the screen. It's kind of fun, little animation there. Nice. So let's see, it's $99 to get the whole thing. I thought maybe he didn't. Oh, interesting. He's writing an ebook on using Mongo in production.
Production. I was picturing these as debug only kinds.
They are debug only, but the interesting thing is, Abhi was on the podcast as well, and he was asking like, is there a way we could just limit this to be like an admin only tool? Like I flag people as admins, and then they can hit the keyboard command and bring up Mongol or something. And they were specifically talking about their support people, like, they've already built an impersonation tool. But if they could jettison that code and just rely on this one and secure it, then that's to me, that's always a win. Less code that you're kind of maintaining.
Yeah, impersonation is one of those things that you certainly don't usually find in the Hello World build. Like Discover Meteor, and won't necessarily mention, it's not a core concept, but in terms of supporting an application in production that's used by other people, everyone, like you said, ends up building some kind of way to do that because
because you get a support request and they're like, well, some of my accounts messed up, and then you're like, I don't know, like so I gotta just grep through the database or something. Like that sounds terrible.
Can you send me your password so I can log in as you? Yeah, that's just
that's pretty bad as well.
It's not the way you do it these days.
Yeah. So again, like kudos to Max. So happy he got that launched. And, I don't know. I don't know how paid packages are going to work out, but I certainly think that the bar has been set particularly high here. If someone else is going to come along and do some kind of pro package you got to pay for. This feels like, I don't know, Meteor level quality, right? Like MDG level quality, because it feels like it makes the developer experience better, which is something that Meteor cares a lot about. And I don't know. Kudos to him.
Yeah, kudos. $99 if you're in Meteor day all day is not a prohibitive kind of price point either.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. So I don't know. Hopefully good things come of it.
Good. So you said that he's going to be on a podcast with you Wednesday, is it?
Yeah, it'll come out Wednesday.
Okay, great.
We already recorded it. Yeah, and I don't know. Like I would love to hear listeners and viewers' opinions. They should tweet at Meteor Podcast and let me know. I'm thinking about changing the name of this show and calling it the Crater Podcast. Because there's a little confusion. Some people are getting confused about having like Meteor Podcast and Meteor Club Podcast because they both say Meteor and they both say podcast. So it's not easy to differentiate. And I feel like, this is all about weekly news and what's happening. And that one's more about like opinions or, I don't know, like discussions and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I like it, but I first you'll have to help me understand, why do meteors always land in craters? Of all the places they could fall, it's just.
They make the crater, right?
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I like Crater Podcast.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll vote with your tweet, right? So just tweet at Meteor Podcast and let me know if you think we should do something else, or if you like the idea of Crater Podcast. Let me know, and we'll figure it out. So
cool.
All right.
Happy Friday, Josh. Nice talking to you again.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
This video has been a Meteor Club production. You can find out more information about Meteor Club and join the mailing list by clicking on the Meteor Club button below. If you enjoyed this video, you can also hit the subscribe button below and get more content like this. Thanks for watching.